What if you needed several years of savings just to be considered marriage material? A small dining room in a county town, white tiles slightly yellowed with age. A metal thermos sits in the center of the table, steam long gone. The son is in his mid-30s, factory job during the day, delivery shifts when overtime is available. He keeps his eyes on the rim of his cup. They're asking for 300,000 won, he says quietly. That's before the apartment, before the car, before the wedding. His mother doesn't argue. She doesn't comfort him either. She just adjusts the edge of the tablecloth. That's how it is now. No one raises their voice. The silence carries more weight than anger would. Conversations like this aren't rare anymore. They're becoming routine, not explosive, not dramatic, just quietly decisive. In parts of rural China, there are villages where no wedding banquets have been held in years. The houses stand tall and new, 3 floors, polished tiles, decorative gates. Many were built with money earned in distant cities, construction sites in Guangdong, warehouses in Zhejiang. The buildings were completed. The sons returned home, but the brides didn't. In one county, a family has 3 sons. The oldest is in his 40s, the youngest just past 30, all unmarried. Their father used to worry about negotiating wedding gifts. Now he worries about something simpler and heavier. When he and his wife are gone, who will sit at this table with his sons? Marriage used to mark the beginning of stability. Now it often feels like a shrinking opportunity. A few hundred kilometers away, in central Shanghai, the scene looks entirely different. Inside People's Park, profiles hang from umbrellas in neat rows. Age, height, degree, annual income. Whether the person owns property. Parents stand shoulder to shoulder studying each sheet carefully, like reviewing financial disclosures. Nearby, a 28-year-old woman with a graduate degree and her own apartment says she isn't in a hurry. She earns well. She travels when she wants. She has built something stable. I just want someone I can respect, she says. If my life is already steady, why would I rush into uncertainty? It doesn't sound rebellious. It sounds measured. If you stand long enough in both places, the quiet village dining room and the crowded city park, you begin to realize they are part of the same story. By 2025, China's single population is projected to surpass 300 million. That number is difficult to imagine. It's roughly comparable to the population of the United States. But the scale isn't the most striking part. Among people aged 25 to 29, more than half are unmarried. Even into the early 30s, the unmarried rate remains far higher than it was a decade ago. This didn't happen suddenly. Decades of birth restrictions and cultural preferences created a gender imbalance that is only now fully visible. In key marriageable age groups, there are tens of millions more men than women. That gap doesn't feel abstract in a village where several men in their 30s are still waiting. Migration compounds it. Young women, especially those who attend university, are more likely to move to cities. Rural counties lose daughters. They retain sons. The sons inherit houses and family land. The daughters build careers in apartment towers. Over time, distance becomes lifestyle, and lifestyle becomes expectation. Then there's property. In many regions, owning an apartment isn't considered impressive. It's considered basic. Bride price practices, which vary widely by province, have risen in some areas over the past decade. For a man earning 5,000 or 6,000 yuan a month in a county town, saving enough for bride price, renovation, banquet expenses, and a car can mean years of disciplined work before a single wedding photo is taken. Marriage becomes less about meeting someone and more about crossing a financial threshold. Education patterns add another shift. In major cities, women now outnumber men in higher education enrollment. Many urban women are financially independent by their late 20s. When you can pay your own mortgage and choose your own schedule, marriage is no longer the gateway to adulthood. It's a decision that must add value, not subtract it. This is where the invisible wall forms. In rural areas, men compete within a shrinking pool. In cities, women filter within narrow bands of comparable education, income, and lifestyle. Movement between those layers is limited, not only by money, but by networks, dialect, expectations, and the household registration system. They are not rejecting each other personally. They are operating in separate ecosystems. For some men, this feels like being locked out. Not because they are unwilling or unkind, but because the entry requirements keep rising. Parents arrange blind dates. Standards adjust quietly. A divorced woman with a child, once considered undesirable, becomes realistic. Even then, it may not be enough. For some women, the issue isn't exclusion, it's exposure. Urban life is expensive. Housing prices remain high. Work hours are long. Divorce rates have climbed over the past 2 decades. Stories circulate about unequal household burdens and financial strain. Marriage introduces companionship, but also risk. Choosing to remain single can feel less like defiance and more like control. Late at night in cities like Chengdu, the gig economy hums. Delivery drivers weave between cars, insulated boxes strapped behind them. In small apartments, livestream hosts sit beneath bright ring lights, speaking into phones, waiting for digital tips. Some online commenters joke that the drivers watch live streams when they're exhausted, and the streamers order takeout when they're hungry. They circulate money between each other. But most of the profit flows elsewhere, upward into platforms neither group controls. When income depends on algorithms and fluctuates week to week, long-term commitments feel heavier. Videos occasionally surface online. A father leaving his daughter downstairs on a delivery scooter, while he runs upstairs to complete an order. A man returning home after a difficult year and silently packing his bag to head back to Shanghai for work. Comment sections split between criticism and empathy. Beneath the debate is something quieter. If life already feels precarious, adding marriage and children may not feel responsible. It may feel reckless. Marriage registrations in China have fallen sharply from their peak. Birth numbers have dropped even more dramatically in less than a decade. Negative population growth has already begun. The consequences move slowly, but they are measurable. A shrinking workforce, an aging population, pension systems under pressure, local governments facing fiscal strain. Policies have followed. Subsidies for childbirth, tax deductions, housing incentives, campaigns discouraging excessive bride prices. The intention is clear, but incentives cannot rebalance gender ratios overnight. They cannot erase regional inequality. They cannot guarantee stable employment or reduce urban housing costs. In a public park, an older man once asked young people, "If no one marries, how will society continue?" A younger voice responded, "If someone can't afford the bride price, will you pay it for them?" It wasn't disrespect. It was a collision of fears. One generation worries about demographic collapse. The other worries about personal survival. Back in the county dining room, the thermos has been refilled. The son looks at his phone, then sets it face down. "If it doesn't happen," he says quietly, "it doesn't happen." No one argues. Outside, the village road is still, the houses are solid, the lights are on. But there are fewer children's voices drifting through the evening air. In Shanghai, the laminated profiles in People's Park flutter gently in the wind. Names, degrees, salaries, conditions. The two worlds continue side by side, not collapsing, not connecting. And the number keeps growing.